I've been in law enforcement for over 28 years. And in over 28 years, I've never seen a more critical need for a community and a public safety initiative, a law enforcement initiative that allows us to make some decisions now that are going to affect our children and their children and the safety of this community for years to come. In the past several years, the Sheriff's Office has seen an increase, exponential increase in calls for service, serious calls for service, for 170,000 people who live in unincorporated El Paso County. There are times when we only have 5, 6, 7 deputies on the road for over 2,000 square miles of territory. That's almost 30,000 people for one deputy. From the detention's perspective, working as an intake shift supervisor, those men and women would come in bringing the bad guys to jail and would have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait because we were so backlogged and so busy and so behind and so short-staffed. And then we had deputies in the jail that are working one deputy to a ward of 90 plus felons at any given time because we didn't have the bodies there. I spent 4 years over as the training director. And while I was a training director, we actually had to let 27 or 28 people go. And I've never ever seen that in my career, where the funding was not available to pay the salaries of men and women who are willing to put on the badge and go out and do the right thing and protect their neighbors. These were folks that we were hiring to fill the slots of folks who are retiring or moving on to something else. But the funding fell through. Within the last week or so, without naming names, I can think of 2 different instances in the early evening hours where we had 2 calls for service that tied up every deputy on the road in El Paso County. 2 calls for service. There was nobody else left to take priority 2 calls. If you called in, somebody had burglarized your house or broken into your car or damaged your property, you were waiting 2-3 hours for a deputy to arrive. I've been to well over 20 law enforcement funerals. In the months of July and August alone in the United States, 29 children were orphaned by law enforcement parents. We have law enforcement professionals all over this country getting assaulted and hurt every day that we never hear about. It's not in the papers. You don't hear it on CNN. It's not on Fox News Nightly. The ones that we hear about are the 29 orphaned children. How many more, if it hadn't been but for the grace of God, would we have? But when we have the opportunity, like we do right now, to make a decision, doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, this is a decision that's critical to the safety of our community, the safety of our families, and to the safety of the men and women who raised their right hand and swore that they would stand up and fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. They do this because of their love for mankind. They do this because they dare to love a stranger. They do this because it's the right thing to do, and it's a job that most people can't or won't do, and that's okay. The deputies understand the risks. They know the risks, and they accept those risks. But I think it is unreasonable to ask them to take on more risk than is necessary. I've talked to folks who are absolutely behind this initiative, 1A, and say, we need this initiative. The Sheriff's Office needs the resources. We understand that. But how does it affect people who don't live in unincorporated, people who live in the city of Colorado Springs? Well, El Paso County Sheriff's Office is the only law enforcement entity in the county who provides a jail service, who provides a court service, who provides a transportation service for getting inmates to and from different jail facilities, to and from court, extraditions. If a man is wanted for a murder in Colorado Springs and is picked up in another state and needs to be extradited back here, it's the El Paso County Sheriff's Office that goes and gets that man. Our civil unit is the only civil unit in the county. So every person who lives in El Paso County, more than 500,000 people who live in El Paso County, receive services from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. And I think that it's a big misunderstanding from a lot of folks. They don't realize how much work we actually do for the city of Colorado Springs. Law enforcement's always been a dangerous job. It will always be a dangerous job. But it's an important job. For less than the price of a candy bar on a $100 purchase, we can make a difference. Critical difference in the safety of our emergency services workers, our deputies, who are going out there and they're standing up and saying, "You're going to sleep safe in your bed tonight because I'm here."